Thursday. You know what that means, don't you? It's time for another exciting episode of Quarantini Happy Hour. Woohoo! Let me get that chat open. I know I opened it up, but I forgot to pull it to the side. There we go. Hello, everybody. How are you guys? Today's topic is going to be, which music-related magazines do you read? We're going to talk about that in a moment. First, I'm going to shut this screen and say hello to all the ladies and gents. There you are. Hello, everybody. We've got Marion Laird, John Pearson, Peter Rahill, Martin Gravel, Bob Gunnerfeld, Dean Turner, Andre Stepanian, Chris Anderson. Thank you for the nice note, Chris. Got that the other day. Appreciate it. Music to Motion, Darren Moss. Hello, Darren. Michael Lehman, Kenny Reed. And Marion says, welcome back, Debbie Lasco. Terrell Beckless. How long does it take the vocalist to push out the desired vocal performance? Songs from a Headband. Hello. Jim Stamper. Jim, I actually had you on my call list today. There's something I want to talk to you about. And I've been so incredibly busy, literally just finishing up a meeting moments ago, that I didn't get to you. But I have you an arrow going to Friday. I'm going to call you tomorrow at home. So if you see an 818 telephone number show up, that's me calling you. And yes, Deb did get home. She got home on Tuesday. I got to say, the woman is pretty remarkable. I think the flight home was probably on the order of 15 to 16 hours because you're flying nose into the wind, so it's a little longer than going. And she got home, had a little bite to eat, threw some stuff in the laundry. Yes, the house was tidy and clean when she got home. I'm very proud to say I'm a pretty good bachelor. And then she started working on taxi stuff, and she ended up doing like a full day of taxi work. Bless her heart, as they say. Wow, my color and stuff is just not that good today. I tried and I tried and I tried, but you have to see me being like a little orangey and a little washed out, but what the hell? She is a trooper. I gotta say, she gets her taxi work done no matter where she is in the world every day. I think that when the time comes that our daughters get married, she'll probably go to the wedding and go back home and start working on taxi stuff. So let's talk about music magazines, because the other day I actually sat down and read a magazine. I'm a little pale today. Here, Marion, I'm going to fix that for you. Before I looked a little too intense. Let me get into my settings and... watch this, like magic, right before your eyes. Ba-boom, less pale. There you go. Anyway, I actually love reading magazines, and I am an avid reader of magazines and books in the bathroom. I don't want to get into too much information, but, there are times that reading is a good thing. And I generally try to read for an hour every morning, shortly after getting up, and I think it keeps the synapses firing, and it's good for, everything. Just helps you wake up. So, anyway, the other day I was reading Sound on Sound magazine, which is very good. And I'm curious how many of you guys still read magazines and what you do read. I still spend several $1,000s a month advertising in magazines, and want to know if you guys are reading them or not, although I realize the Quarantinis are a small but very loyal following, and I don't know that it's a big enough sample size to base my ad purchasing decisions on, but I am curious. So how many of you guys read Recording Magazine? Which, if you're a taxi member, you get a free subscription, a free digital subscription because you're a taxi member. Give me a +1 if you read Recording Magazine. Jim Stamper reads it always. Hey, Riney. All right, so kind of a lukewarm response. Hello, Ron Schultz. How are you? Jan W. All right, I'm going to wait for those responses to quit coming in, then I'm going to ask you about the next one. Um, how many of you read Music Connection magazine? I'm looking to see if I have one nearby, and I don't at the moment. Yes, I do. How many of you read Music Connection magazine, which is largely California? I think the probably 80% of their subscriber base is out here in California, but it goes all over the world. Actually, some interesting stuff in there. Hello, KBL Media. I saw an email from you today, and honestly, I won't have time to open it today, Keith. I'm so sorry, but my morning started at 6:49 a.m., and believe it or not, I've actually got a meeting that starts tonight on Zoom at 11 p.m. that's going to go till around 12:30 or 1 a.m. And I have to actually leave at 5 o'clock on the dot to race home and re-sign the documents on a refi. Darren Moss, maybe I should be reading these. Maybe. Libraries don't have magazine racks, but bookstores do. So Deb and I used to do on date nights when back in the day is there was a great little Mexican restaurant that was about 2 blocks away from our apartment. Back in the days when I first started taxing, we were, literally as poor as church mice. We couldn't buy groceries and pay rent in the same week, even the same month. We would go to a Mexican restaurant and order a Diet Coke so that we could sit at the bar. We would share the Diet Coke sometimes and sit there and eat the nuts and the chips just so that we could feel like we went out on a date. And then we would go over to Barnes and Noble and maybe order like an iced tea over there and go hit the magazine rack and go sit in a little, like loungy, seedy area of Barnes and Noble reading the magazines while sipping our iced tea. That was a big night out for us. Musician dating advice, absolutely. What's a date night? Well, once your kids get, this was before kids, and now that the kids are both out of the house, we try to do one date night a week. Although during COVID, not so much. But yeah, we are avid movie theater goers. It feels good. It feels like a little mini vacation, getting out of the house for 2.5 to 3 hours. Happens to be a movie theater that's only a 5-minute drive from our house. That's got the big airplane seats. It's got a tray table that swings out. They've got really good food there. It's kind of expensive. Like a burger is like $13 for a burger and fries. So it's not cheap. The tickets to the theater are like, I want to say $20 or $22 person. So, it can be $100 night out, but the sound is incredible in the theaters. The picture on the screen is amazing. And you feel like you're on a little vacation because you're sitting in this awesome, like, it feels like you're on a private jet. So we do that. Probably at its peak, we were doing it about 3 times a month. Slowed down a little bit pre-COVID to 2 times a month. And I'm thinking that tonight could possibly be our first time back in that theater. And I'm very excited about that because I love that place. Date night is once a year, the tax appointment. That's funny. Okay, let's check out some other magazines that let's see, recording American Songwriter. How many of you guys read American Songwriter magazine? Hey, Alex Dillon, good to see you, buddy. And Sherry Marcus Milano, hello. Tony Solazzo in the house. Hello, Tony. Douglas Fouquet. Did I pronounce it right this time? Fouquet, right? Musician joke from Laura Principata. Musician joke. What's the difference between a drummer and a large pizza? The pizza can feed a family of four. Now that's funny. I love it. I just started watching. Deb went to bed last night at like 8:30 because she still got tons of jet lag. So I thought, well, that was a long laugh. Anyway, I started watching Hacks on HBO Max last night. I've heard a lot of good stuff about it, and it looks pretty good. Little predictable first episode, but usually you can't judge a new series that you're going to binge on the first episode. Um, hey, Pierre Vinio, how are you? And Dan Weber. Wow, folks are showing up late today, although we're not taking names or writing this stuff down. El Rosso is here. Wow, maybe I should just start the show at 4:15 every day. That's all right. Today's one of those loose episodes where I didn't have a lot planned because I'm so busy with road rally stuff, to be honest with you. Um, okay, so we've ascertained that not a lot of magazine readers in this crowd. Interesting to know. Um, what else do I want to ask you about? Which magazines do you read? Wow, I can't read my own. I literally cannot read my own writing on that one. Um, oh, I did. Oh, here's something I want you guys to check out. I think I mentioned it in a show the other day, and this is actually my 11 p.m. meeting tonight. Is with the CEO and founder of a website, and it looks to be really cool. Called, write this down and go check it out. And trust me, you need to go deep on this. Don't just give it a cursory look. SoundGym.co, not .com. SoundGym.co. It is a subscription website that helps you fine tune your engineering ears. And it's kind of like in a video game format. And at first I thought, oh, this is cute. And this is cool. And I stalked him actually, stalked the CEO of the company, figured out who he was, got his email address, and that's who I'm meeting with tonight. And anyway, he is a very experienced musician, appears to be a really cool guy. And yesterday I Googled SoundGym reviews and came across a young, I'm guessing 26 to 30-ish year old female audio engineer from San Diego who did one of the reviews and was really impressed with this young lady. She's like a legit audio teacher. Honestly, she looks to be far more audio than I do. While she doesn't seem to have a resume with tons of gold and platinum records on her wall, she does have a lot of experience doing a bunch of different kinds of audio engineering. That really counts for a lot. You know, just being like an audio engineer who mixes dance records. It's like, okay, that's a skill. You know, there's certainly some credibility there. But an audio engineer who can like record a choir in a church, or do live sound for a 3,000 seater, or do a country record, or do a jazz record. If you can do a lot of various things like that and do them well, you've earned my respect. And I believe that this lady is one of those people. And I really enjoyed her review, although I would have started it differently. She got into like a lot of features and not like instantly showing you what it does. Like it's got this and it's got that. She should have started off just showing you how it works and what it does. So I did the little freebie version the other night, admittedly on my older laptop, which has really crappy speakers in it. I should have worn headphones, big mistake, and I didn't read the instructions, kind of like taxi members don't read the listings very well. I didn't read the instructions very well, and I sat down, started using it, and I went, this is way harder and fun, harder than I thought. I'm trying to think of an example. Like one of the exercises is it shows you the panning landscape left to right, and you hear something and you have to judge if it's coming from full left, full right, center, or somewhere in between, and you click where you think it is. And I got it wrong more often than I thought I would have. There's another exercise that plays you a full-on music track, but it's got a certain frequency boosted, and I personally shut my eyes. I'm going, okay, and you have to identify which frequency is boosted, where the curve is of the equalizer or the bell curve or the peak. And I got that wrong more often than I would have thought. There was something else that I got like 11 out of 12 on. I was very happy about that. Anyway, it is a lot of fun, and I thought, wow, this is cool. And then when I watched that young lady's review yesterday on YouTube, I went, whoa, this thing goes way deep and is really comprehensive. So, no, .co, like .com without the M. Anyway, go check it out. It is like ear training for mixers. And I can see it's not just fun. I can see how it could be very valuable, especially after watching her thing. So I'm talking to the guy tonight to see if maybe they'd be interested in being a sponsor of the Road Rally, doing a presentation, maybe me including it in the newsletter. I want you guys to check it out because I think that it is something that you would enjoy and find really helpful. And they've also got a new one, which is, I forget what it's called, but it's like, can you identify the musical, this is for Super Blonde only, can you identify the musical interval? Can you identify guess the tempo? It's that sort of stuff. It's all music theory related stuff. I don't think I do very well on that at all. Anyway, go check it out. See what you think. I'll talk to you about it further next week. Super Blonde, you're trying it already and you failed? It's harder than I thought. I'm like, dude, I've spent, I don't know, God knows how many thousands of hours in control rooms in my lifetime. And I sat down and I was laughing out loud. I was just like bombing out. And the embarrassing thing was when the CEO of the company got back to me and said, sure, let's talk. I'm well aware of Taxi. Let's talk. And then I thought, oh, damn, I used my, Michael Lasco email address. So if he looks at his server, he's going to be able to see that I signed up and failed epically at like 3 of the challenges. Pierre, it's SoundGym.co. We're talking about SoundGym.co. I should send the link to this email to the CEO before I meet with him tonight. He'd be impressed that I gave him so much airtime, but I should. It looks, I really need to check it out further, but it looks to be really cool, and I really think that our members would really enjoy it. So if you guys would be kind enough, at least go try out the freebie version and let me know on next Tuesday's Taxi TV or Taxi Quarantini which I still haven't found the page that's got all the options for new names. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like it or not. And if you guys really like it, I'll push them a little harder to be a sponsor of the rally. Um, okay. I was talking to an engineer friend of mine who asked to not be identified. No, it's not Rob Shirelli. It's somebody that's got a ton of platinum albums on the wall, both as an engineer and producer. He and I were on a phone call at like 10 o'clock the other night, first time we've talked in probably 6 months. And I got to talking about plugins, and I haven't touched my Pro Tools, not my Pro Tools, God forbid. No, I'm sure Pro Tools is wonderful. I'm just a Logic guy because I've got an Apple computer, and that's what I downloaded or bought my computer pre-installed with, and I love it, and it's a lot of fun, but I haven't sat down and tried to do a full recording from beginning to end. But I have spent an extensive amount of time playing with plugins, and in the process of such, have found that many of the Waves is a brand of plugins, and they're really inexpensive. They have sales all the time. They work. And my engineer friend said, it's somebody whose name you would know. You've seen his name on a million records. You've read articles about him in magazines, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I said to him, I think that the LA 3s sound very much like the LA 3s did in, the physical ones that I used to use in the studio, and I use them a lot more than my fellow engineers did. I just happen to love the sound of them. And the Waves version actually sounds really close. And he said, Michael, no offense, but you should never judge a plug-in by how it sounds compared to the original. He said, you have to judge it based on how it sounds for what you're working on today. Does it sound good on that guitar? Does it sound good on that vocal? If it does, then it doesn't matter how close it is to that old piece of gear. In this case, it happens to be really close. And I said to him, okay, so I don't need it to sound exactly like it, but it is a reference. When I'm buying, of course, you can download most of these for a free trial, but when I'm buying a plugin, I downloaded a DBX 160. That was another one of my go-to compressors back in the day. And I've got to say, once again, the Waves version sounded pretty much like the real deal. The one that comes in Logic has like 5 or 6 different limiter compressors that come stock with Logic. And all but one of them sound really good to me. And there's one, I can't remember what it's called, but it is also like a DBX 160 clone, although they don't say that it is. But it operates like one and sounds very much like one. It's actually, in some ways, a little better. Yeah, I've got the SSL. I got an SSL. I can't remember if I got an E channel or a G channel, but I bought an SSL channel strip through them. I'm happy with that. And I also like their master bus compressor. I was using the SSL. That was another one of those things that I used it because every time when the band or whoever I was working with in my control room in New York wasn't looking, I would just whack the button on the SSL bus compressor and they'd go, "Oh, what'd you just do? It sounds really good." And that's because it squashes everything a little bit in a very gentle and sexy kind of way. And it makes stuff sound a little more polished and finished and professional, which bus compression generally does, whether it's an SSL or anything else. But the SSL one does sound really good. So I was having this discussion with my friend the other night, and I thought that was a point very well taken, that I really shouldn't compare how these things sound, how close they are to the original hardware version that I used to use. I should just worry about how they sound today with that, whatever it is I'm mixing. Anyway, so that's that. Oh, so the ones that he mentioned that he liked, you should grab a pencil and check these out. The Waves CLA, which stands for Chris Lord Algae Mix Hub. I haven't tried that yet, but I may try that probably after the Road Rally, because I am in full-on Road Rally mode right now. Okay, CLA Mix Hub by Waves. The Waves L1 limiter. I don't know that I've ever even seen that in there. Um, and honestly, I don't know how you pronounce this guy's name, but apparently he's a famous mixer that I don't know. The Manny Marroquin delay plugin. I think it's pronounced Marroquin, Marr. I believe I wrote this down on a post-it note, so I'm not sure if I spelled it right. Manny, we all know how to spell. I hope. Marroquin, Marroquin. It could be Manny Moroccan, I don't know, but the Manny Marroquin delay plugin. And he said, you absolutely have to buy, this was the thing he was emphatic about, was buy the Abbey Road mastering chain from Waves. He said, that's just one of those things that you put on, it's like your secret sauce that you put on across your mix bus and barely even have to turn a knob and it just sounds better. So, okay. Andre Stepanian likes the CLA reverb. Um, I've got the Abbey Road plates, and honestly, they sound okay. I got really spoiled because I had real EMT 140 plates, the ones that were owned by Phil Spector originally, that he used on all of his big hits, and I ended up with those in the room that was my favorite music room in New York the last 5 years I was there, I think. Um, they sounded good. They always sounded good on everything. You could do no wrong with those plates. Um, Abbey Road has a bunch of mastering presets, or Abbey Road mastering is easy to find something that suits. Anyway, I use the. I've probably spent 2 or 3 hours playing around with the Abbey Road EMT plates. They've got more ways to go, more options than actual plates do. Honestly, a real EMT plate basically has long and short, and it's literally physically adjusting where the transducers and the pickups are on the plate. And the steel plate is roughly 5 feet wide by 3.5 feet tall, and it's suspended on all four corners. It's Swedish steel or German steel, I forget. Highly polished to a particular note. Um, and then it's suspended by all four corners in a box that's kind of like a coffin or something. The box is probably about 8 or 10 inches thick by 5.5 feet long and I don't know, 4 feet tall. And if you're smart, you actually suspend those boxes. It's got a hook on each side, like a little eyelet thing, a big eyelet. And you suspend it on springs from, ceiling joists. That way you don't get any torsional transmission of sound making your plates rumble. I have heard the Valhalla plate is amazing. I've heard that all the Valhalla stuff is really good. Um, what's the difference between plates and reverb? Plates. It's what you eat your dinner off of. Plate is a type of reverb. Yeah, the boxes are pretty big that hold the plates. Like I said, it's roughly I don't know 4 feet tall by 5 or 6 feet wide and 8 or 10 inches deep or thick. Um, how do you play around with the plugins? Do you have a piece of music that you work on? I have several actually. I've got Queen that one of you guys sent me that was nice. Bohemian Rhapsody, which is actually so complex. It's interesting, but it's really where they've got all the tracks laid out. Oh my God, it's a nightmare. Um, the Eagles, Take It Easy, that I've got the 16 track of. Um, the Shirelli version of my daughter Hannah's song, and one other thing. I can't remember. Um, but I know all those things really well. The Queen Bohemian Rhapsody thing, I mean, I know the song really well. I don't know the tracks. There are so many tracks. And tracks that are like, because it was done in analog back in the day when we had to combine a lot of stuff. So there will be stuff like I don't know, a vocal section that, like 100 voices that shows up for 30 seconds in the middle of a bass track kind of stuff. So, nowadays that would all be on separate tracks. And back then they ran out of vocal tracks because they had so many and they kept recording them and then squishing them down, pre-mixing them to a single track or a stereo pair. And if there was a bass part that played on the intro and the verses, let's say, but not on the chorus, so then they would take chorus vocals and put them on the bass track. The thing is, you would have probably different compression, certainly different EQ, and probably almost certainly different reverb and different panning. So it's like, geez, well, what do you do when you get to something that's normally panned down the middle, probably has some bottom end added to it, maybe a little bit of upper mids added to a bass for some attack or a little fingerish noise on it. Probably little to no reverb on it, probably a fair amount of compression on it, and probably a different kind of compression than you would use on a vocal. So what do you do? Because all of a sudden you're mixing and you come up to that part where it's vocals and it's no longer the bass. So what you do is you mix the song in its entirety, top to bottom, and every time the vocals would come up on that bass channel, you just mute the vocals. So now you've got all the sections you need, let's say hypothetically, with the intro and the verses, with the bass guitar doing what it was meant to do and with all the settings. Then you go back and you get the sounds you want on the vocals on that track, and you leave everything else the same, but the bass is out because the bass, that particular part of the bass, didn't play on the chorus where the vocals are. And now you're mixing the vocals with them panned, EQ'd, and compressed the way they should be for that type of vocal and the right reverb, all that stuff, and then you edit them together. That's how we do it. Hello, Rolf. Hello, back to you in Germany. And Daryl Berman. It's funny, people are so apologetic about being late. It's loose. It's not like you get points for being on time, although I like it because that way you know what the topic is when I start the show. And today's topic was, which audio magazines do you read? Apparently not a lot anymore. But, did I ask you guys if you do read Sound on Sound? It's the only one that is substantially thick these days. Some of the others now look like almost like a pamphlet. Sound on Sound has really good stuff. It's based in the UK. Pat Warra reads Tape Op. Honestly, I've read Tape Op online. Does Tape Op even have a physical magazine? I remember there was some point where it was almost like a newsletter back 20, 30 years ago. I should read Tape Op. Should I advertise in Tape Op? Wow, this is the first you've heard of Sound on Sound? It's really good. I actually like this magazine a lot. Pat, is Tape Op online only, or can you get a physical copy of it? Jazz Times. I probably wouldn't read that, although I really do like, I love jazz. I love jazz recordings. I love recording jazz, I should say. Wow, they have physical copies and they're free. Cool, I'm going to sign up for that tonight. Will Bernie Stern or another music supervisor be attending this year's road rally? Yes. As a matter of fact, you know what? I really can't read this off or show you this list, but I have on my call list for next week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That person's kind of a music. So I'm going to say I've got 19 music supervisors on my outreach list. for the road rally. So yes, I seriously doubt that all 19 of them will say yes. Um, yes, we will definitely have. So I'm very interested in having this fairly young female engineer, mixer, audio person who also teaches this stuff from San Diego that did that really good review. Although she's kind of technical, but I'm going to call her tomorrow and find out, can she teach a 90-minute class on how to record a song on GarageBand if you've never done it before. Teach the bare bones basics that people who are afraid to tackle the tech, how they can get started. And maybe I'll have her do a prequel to the rally doing that. Um, let's see what else. I am reaching out next week to a very, very big music supervisor as a possibility, and I think a decent one, to possibly be my keynote. I'm still wrestling with the whole keynote thing, but I'll figure it out. Um, eh, I don't even know. I think that thing is sitting on the kitchen table at home because I dashed out the door today to make it here for a meeting. But um, it's coming together. It's going to be a few weeks before I can announce the schedule. But the one thing I really do feel confident about, really confident, is this year's virtual road rally really is going to. I never lie about it. Hopefully you know that, but it's my personal challenge every year. And like I said the other day on the show, it would be very easy for me to reach out to panelists I've had like the last 3 years. They all want to come back, and it's tough. Like, how do you say no to somebody who's been a panelist over and over and over again? They always get a lot of attention. They always say great stuff. People love them. But I just can't have the same people year after year after year. The chance I take when I get new people is, how good will they be on camera or on microphone? And if we're in a physical setting at the hotel, will they be gracious enough to talk to some members after the panel, or let them buy them a beer out in the bar? It's a whole combination of attributes that cause me to invite somebody or not. But the one thing I really never know until I get them up there on the stage is, how good will they be on the panel? And I got to tell you, it's weird. It's intimidating. I'm so comfortable sitting in the first row with all of you guys behind me. I like to look up at the panelists rather than sitting at the table with them and craning my neck to talk to the panelists down at the end. I'd rather be in a conversation with all of them, and I like to watch them for visual cues, like who's writing the most, or whose eyes are telling me that they're not really concentrating on the song, so I shouldn't go to them for their opinion. All those are little things that I do from that front row during especially the listening panels. So it's always disappointing to me. I always feel like a little cheated somehow when I research these people, I get somebody to say yes, and they get up there and they clam up and they give one-word answers. But a few years ago, I was actually on a panel at the Road Rally. I can't remember, maybe Tony Van Veen was moderating, or Dan Kimpel or somebody, and I was on the panel. It's a whole different thing when you're sitting up there looking out at 1,000 people in the ballroom. There's just something different about it. Where, I mean, I know obviously when I'm sitting in the front row moderating, I know I've got 1,000 people behind me. I turn around and look at them and ask them questions and stuff. It's not that I've got stage fright, but there's something about being up there with 4 or 5 other people. On one hand, you want to get as much verbiage out of your mouth as you can. And some people are microphone hogs. Some of the panelists will, the minute you ask them a question, they're off and running, and I can see it in their eyes. It's like, I'm going to keep talking so that nobody else can get a word in. It's not that they're ungenerous. It's just they got so much they want to get out, and they'll just keep going and going and going and going. And there are times I have to like shut them down and go, well, that's great, Paul. I'm trying to come up with the name of somebody that, that's great, Susie. But let's hear what, Evelyn's got to say. And it's easier for me to be the moderator than to be a panelist. And I've certainly been a panelist on at a lot of other people's conventions. And I feel like I'm a much better moderator than I am a panelist. Anyway, I guess that's my lot in life. Do what you're good at, right? Yeah, the new speakers will be great. Competitive conversationalist. There you go. Yeah, Pat, you've seen me moderate at the Road Rally. You've seen me moderate in Hawaii. Maybe you've even seen me moderate at the Durango thing, which I used to do quite a bit. Tony Salazzo clearly has been through a divorce or something. He says being on a panel is like being before a judge in a courtroom. You want to be careful what you say, even when you have to say a lot. Yeah, the last thing you want to do in a courtroom, and yes, I have been there, every word has to count, and you never volunteer anything. Ever, 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 never volunteer anything. Wow, you did a TEDx. See, I don't know. I watch friends of mine that have done TEDx's like Derek Sivers. Derek is a ham. He's really good. One person on a stage. He's just perfect for doing TED Talks. But I I don't know that I could do it. I can't. I don't work well from a teleprompter. I don't work well from index cards or a script. I can write a really good script. I just can't read it, even though it's in my words. I don't feel fluid in reading it. I don't know that I'd be good doing a TED Talk. Rolf, I was hoping you could come to. I was going to have you bring me a new car, stop by the BMW factory on your way here and bring me a brand new car as a token of your appreciation for putting on such an amazing road rally. But alas, we have to do one more virtually. Read the current taxi newsletter that just came out a day or two ago. Go to taxi.com, and on the top menu bar, you'll see a thing that says news, and check out the newsletter because you will see you will see what the hell was I just talking about? I was talking about Germany, BMWs. Oh, I've lost my train of thought. The road rally. Something about the road rally in there. It's funny. I don't get nervous. I don't. I don't really get stage fright at the road rally. I'm just so used to it now, and I guess I don't really get stage fright elsewhere. I did a solo thing at the Hawaii Songwriters Festival a couple of years ago, Music Libraries. Not nervous at all. Funny thing was, here's a funny story. Yes, German engineering, the best. I did a thing in a room that held, I don't know, maybe 50 to 100 people at the Hawaii Songwriters thing about, it was basically, what are music libraries all about? Because a lot of songwriting conferences eventually picked up on the fact that music licensing is kind of where the industry has moved. And so they became a little less about songcraft and a little more about libraries. But people always talk about libraries, but very few people in the audience really know what a library is, what a library does, if it's the right thing for them to do or not. So I took on that mantle of responsibility and did like a 90-minute me solo on stage thing talking about music libraries, how they operate, what they do, who it's good for, how much money you can make or not make, all that kind of stuff. And very comfortable in the room. I knew almost everybody in the audience because I've been to so many of the Hawaii Songwriter things. And when it was all over, a lady who had been a client of Taxi's in the past, we've probably run easily 100 or more listings for her music library in the past. She came up to me and she said, I just want to let you know, I wasn't that impressed by the stuff that you played on stage. Which I found funny because the stuff I played on stage, even though it wasn't like, didn't sound like a record, all the stuff that I played had made significant money and was remarkably simple. So I think that's why I played it. It was like, look, almost anybody with any modicum of talent could do this. And those tracks I just played you, I think one of them made somebody like $8,000 in a year. You know, I affectionately call them stupid little instrumental tracks. So she came up and said, I wasn't impressed with the music you played on stage, so I punched her. I'm kidding. I didn't punch her. I thought about it though. It did cross my mind. I'm fairly friendly with her. So yeah, I often fantasize about punching people I'm friendly with now. I was taken aback. I was. It's like, how could you not like that stuff? And then she further went on to say, and when we used to run listings with you guys, I was not very impressed with the majority of the music. And it's like, okay, you're the only one I've ever heard that from. I mean, seriously, we turn away. I think I've probably turned away 3 libraries, in the, I don't know, 25, 30 days since I got back from my trip. Anyway, I was in shock, and I said, how can that be? You are, and her company is not big. It's a quality company, but it's not a big company. I said, I don't understand that at all. Do me a favor. When I get home, I'm going to call you, and I want you to run like 3 listings and just check out the quality of what you're going to get now, because our members have gotten better. Our screeners are the best crew that we've ever had. The internal staff here at Taxi is the best we've ever had. Give us a spin again. So she did. And nothing really changed on our end. I mean, the bar was still set at the same height. And now she runs listings like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 listings a month, I think. They are going through a major catalog expansion. And I'm pretty sure the Taxi is by far their leading source of stuff. So anyway, just thought that was funny. Yeah, why did she keep on running listings back in the day? I do not know. And why didn't she just reach? All she needed to do was call us. I mean, we say this to every new client that Taxi has is, first of all, if we have even like a 5% doubt that the listing isn't perfectly written, we'll run it by them. We run it by a lot of people actually in the first pass or two, just to say, this is how we see what you're asking for, and how we want our members to understand what you're asking for, and how we want our screeners to understand it so they can judge it correctly. Does this work? And they all like fall out of their chairs and go, oh my gosh. I mean, we've heard that comment, this coming comment, several times over the years. It's like, you guys write the best briefs in the industry. Or I wish I had you sending me briefs for this, music supervisor, whatever. So they're really impressed. And I don't think anybody ever changes anything significant. They may say, you know what, now come to think of it, can I take out that 3rd reference? I probably shouldn't have given you that one. Anyway, so yeah, we're good at what we do, and we encourage the clients to let us know right away. Oh, this is the thing we always tell them is, when we send you that first batch of music, if it's not completely to your liking, if you're not impressed, please send us an email or call us and let us know. Do we need to raise the bar? Do we need to broaden the scope? We want to know so that we can serve you better, because by serving you better, we're serving our members better. Getting caught up here on reading the chat. Monday's show. Yeah, give us some likes, you guys. Come on, 54 people watching and only 17 likes. For all this incredible information I'm giving you today, how much time I spent planning this show and writing the script and setting up the teleprompter, all that stuff, getting the lighting and my poor color saturation together today. The least you can do is give us a like. Come on, people. Anyway, thank you, Jillian. Or Jillian. Jillihan? Is that how you say it? Jillihan? I like it. Thank you, guys. Anyway, Monday's show with Paul Taylor, one of our screeners. I mean, if you didn't know Taxi well and you tuned into that show, you would probably think, oh, come on, they paid this guy to come on there and act like he was a screener or something. But I'm telling you, he is typical of our screeners. That is the level of quality that of the people who hear your music when you submit to Taxi. There aren't like a few exceptional ones and the rest are like, interns or something. No, they are all really, really that good. Um, Yeah, I personally thought he was great. I don't know Paul all that well. I mean, back before COVID, I'd see him in the office a couple times a week. Hey, Paul, how you doing? Good, Michael. How are you? Boy, it's really hot out there today. So we knew each other on kind of a cursory level. And there are, of course, always times where in the A&R office where Tom and Eric sit, um, screeners will come in with questions about listings or come in to do a schedule adjustment. Hey guys, I can't make it tomorrow afternoon. Can I move it to Thursday morning? Or why is this third reference on the list? I don't see what it is about the reference that makes it valid for this. Can you enlighten me? Things like that. Discussions do take place. It's not like an all day long, everyday thing, but they happen. And sometimes they happen when I'm in the room, and Paul Taylor has been one of those people that stopped in. So I've been involved in conversations like that more as a fly on the wall. But so I know him, but I don't know him like well. And after we signed off the air the other day and we stayed on camera, and then we've exchanged some emails since then, I just told him I thought he was a great guest. First of all, he really, really wants to see you guys succeed, which is something that I think all the screeners do share. They really like the teaching aspect and the helping aspect of what they do. But I'm sitting there the whole time wondering, why does a guy who is this knowledgeable and has this many credits and seems to stay busy pretty much throughout the year, how does he find the time, and why does he have the desire to be a screener at Taxi? I talked to him the other day. Well, he's got this project coming up, and then right when he finishes that one, another one starts. Really impressive guy. Hey, Cass, how are you? Good to see you. Welcome back. This is from Ron Schultz. Michael, do you and the Taxi people collaborate on writing the listings? It is collaborative. I'll try and describe the process. So let Tom, who is our senior director of A&R, he's the head of the A&R department. He is most likely the person that will get the email or the phone call from the person who wants to run the listing. And let's leave new listing companies out. Let's talk about existing clients. So they would just shoot him an email and say, hey, Tom, we're freshening up the orchestral hybrid section of our library. Want to start running some listings. How are you guys looking right now? And Tom will write back and say, sure, man, we can handle that. And what are you looking for? And they will respond and say, okay, I'm looking for this, that, and the other thing. Great. Can you send me some links to some YouTube videos that would be good references? And they do. And if he has any questions, he'll ask them. And then he inputs all that information into a customized database that doesn't really look like any other database you've ever seen. It's not like it's got a bunch of similarly sized fields. It's got a big fat field for where we can paste in an entire email. Then it's got like a notes field where they might put in bullet points about that they want the rest of the people in the A&R department to be cognizant of. Like, make sure we don't repeat the references from last time. We didn't hit the nail as closely on the head as we wanted to with those, even though we got the references from the client. And then Bria, who actually works remotely. She used to work here on staff, one of our beloved longtime staff members. Bria will then write the draft listing in Kentucky, of all places, and then Tom looks at it and makes sure that what she wrote is accurate, and if he sees any typos or whatever along the way, or if he feels like, oh, we should add this sentence or restructure a sentence to make it more clear, he'll do that. Then Eric, who's in the A&R department, and Eric is in charge of scheduling all the screeners. So he knows what they do best. He knows how quickly they work. He knows how often they typically can work in a given week, what their strengths and weaknesses are. He will then oftentimes look at the listings. And then from there, it goes back to Bria, I believe. It's either Bria or Tom. They click a button on the database, and then the listings, I think it's Bria, then the listings come to me in a pretty close to final state, but I see it one state away from being final. And that's when I go through and I look for stuff. Like I had one the other day. I said to them, you guys have this down as singer-songwriter. You're going to see this listing coming out tomorrow. I said, really? This reference sounds more like, and there was only one reference because they're looking to replace something for $10,000 in a film. I think it was a $10,000 one. And it's a big-time movie producer who's done a lot of movies that I'm sure you've seen, is looking for this. And I said, to me, the ref sounds more like a crooner thing. And so Tom and I went back and forth on it, and it got rewritten and improved and blah, 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 and you guys are going to see it tomorrow. So it is collaborative among us. There are even some rare occasions where if we're going round and round on something, because a big part of what we do is it needs to give the screeners the right thing as their working framework. And it, so somebody asked in Monday's Taxi TV, do the screeners know more than we do? And people have asked that question probably a couple hundred times over the years. No, the screeners don't know more than you do. They get the same listing you do, pops up on their screen, they read it, and they start working. So we have to make it make sense for them as well as you. So we go to a lot of trouble, and that's why the industry is so impressed with what we do, if I may pat us collectively. What is the average percentage of forwards and accepted tracks? There really is no average. It's so hard to say because it depends on the listing. I'm going to repeat this, and then the show's going to be almost over. I'm trying to think of a good example of a genre. Instrumental percussion things. That one and drones. Looking for, drones that just go and kind of hang there, kind of almost amelodic, almost atonal. Drones that can go for 3 minutes and just sound like wah. And so for those and pure percussion instrumentals, we will get hundreds and hundreds, of submissions. We'll get somewhere between probably 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, somewhere in that range for each of that style. That said, if we run something, we ran listings looking for Romani music, and I bet any of you who know what Romani music is are either Googling it right now or you've heard me talk about it on the show before. I'd never heard of it. It's basically gypsy music. Romani music is gypsy music. And I think we probably got in under 20 submissions for that. And we probably had, I don't know, a forward or two if we were lucky out of those 20 submissions. And lo and behold, whatever we forwarded got signed because the library was so thrilled that they got something that was legitimately in that genre and really good. And they're like, yes, Taxi rules because I just found Romani music. I remember specifically one of the instrumental percussion things that I want to say like 400 or 800 submissions, and 40% of them were forwarded by the screeners. So we had like 300 and change things to send to the library. I might be a little off in those numbers, but I'm basically in the ballpark. Don't quote me exactly, but I am definitely in the ballpark on that. It's like, who the hell wants to get 300 plus of anything? So we called the library and said, look, we've got 300 submissions that came in that were all focused at what you really need and over the quality bar. It was an easy thing for our members to nail. And yes, some of the members had 3, 4, 5 different submissions that got forwarded. So we checked with that person and said, look, we don't want to send you a file with, we could send you a disco playlist with 320 things on it. How would you like it if we sent you 50 or 100 at a time and spread it out like every other day or every few days? And yes, thank you. So there's really no way for me. I'm not trying to be evasive and not give you an answer, but there's just no way to know Sometimes it's 0 things that we can forward, and we usually will rerun those listings. Sometimes we get very few submissions and can only forward like 1 thing or 2 things, and the company will say, do you mind if I rerun it again? There are times that they're looking for something in a fairly tight timeline situation, and they ask us to run a dispatch, and we do, and we get very few submissions for it, and then they say, okay, well, can you run it as a regular listing and put it out there for like 2 or 3 weeks? Maybe we'll get more stuff. So then we'll say this is a repeat. We've run this before. So there you go. I wish I had a better answer for you, but there is just no way to predictably say, well, about 10%. And honestly, if I did have to average it, I would probably say about 10%, but it can range wildly. So there you go. So all that said, I want to remind you folks that this coming Monday is the 4th of July. It's when the 4th of July will be celebrated on the 5th of July. So we will not be doing a Taxi TV on Monday. Mark that in your phone calendar right now or write it down somewhere. Yep. Monday, July 5th, no Taxi TV. Tuesday, July 6th will be the first time that the full staff has been back together in the office since March 26th, I believe, of 2020. So I'm excited to see everybody back on that day, on Tuesday. And I will be doing a Quarantini on Tuesday. I will be doing a Quarantini on Thursday. And I am trying to get... I'm not going to tell you who I'm trying to get. I'm not going to tell you, because she and I, it's a lady, and she and I have been playing phone tag at an Olympic level for the last week or more. I hope I can get her, but I'm fearful now that I'm getting too close to the date, which would be Monday, July 12th. So we'll see. But whatever it is, our next regular Monday Taxi TV will be on Monday, July 12th, and no show on Monday the 5th, but on Tuesday the 6th we'll do a Quarantini, and Thursday the 8th of July we will do a Quarantini. So that's it. Great seeing you guys. Have a great weekend, everybody. If you're in the U.S. and you're going to celebrate Independence Day, please don't hold M80s with your thumb and your forefinger. Very, very dangerous. Don't drink and drive. Nobody needs to tell you that, right? Because you're grown-ups. Enjoy your barbecues. Enjoy your families. Enjoy fireworks. Have a great weekend. See you on Tuesday, July 6th. Bye-bye.